I hate it when I have a particularly good intro song, because I have to pause it eventually, and I want to hear it through to the end. So, here's what I did this morning. I had to email the guy, because people thought I was gonna show up in person in like New York, and they think I'm in New York right now. Obviously not. Obviously that would be a mistake. I don't have a lawyer. Even though I tried to get one for like 2 weeks, it did not happen. So I tried my best. I went through the rules and stuff. I looked through it, and it's just what they asked for in the subpoena. I released the text of the subpoena over the week, and it just encompasses everything. They want everything. So I can't like lawfully retain information from them. And it just sucks. It feels like you're ratting someone out for something that's clearly not criminal, something that is obviously, to anyone listening, not criminal, right? And I can't. I asked him to retract it, which I guess sounds weird. I said, what you're looking for, whatever you're looking for, it can't be this guy, because he just posted it for archival purposes as an interest of national interest, for public attention. This document is relevant to anybody, and they don't care. And the response of the guy was snarky. It was almost sarcastic and cruel in what he said in reply. He said, "I respect your opinion, and I respect that you value your subscribers." He called people in the forum subscribers. I'm sure your subscribers respect your dedication to their privacy. And I'm sure they also appreciate that you called the Department of Justice and the Attorney General to verify the validity of your subpoena. And it's true. And what happened is I got the email, and the people I showed it to were lawyers. And one of them said if I was representing you, I would call to make sure that it's a legitimate document, because it looks fake. And it's not Nick Rekieta, before anybody guesses and assumes it's Nick Rekieta. So me, in this kind of stupor, I called the office of the Attorney General and said, "Is this fucking real? Is this a joke?" And she said, "No, that's real." And then I hung up and I thought about it for a second. Like, oh, I just verified that I received it via email. That wasn't too smart. So they never sent me a physical copy of this document. So if I just ignored it, it would have been fine. If I just ignored it completely for being the piece of trash that it is, it would have been fine. Instead, me, in my dedication to the legal process, voluntarily called the U.S. Attorney General and verified that I was given an electronic subpoena, which is just fantastic. Just a phenomenal stroke of brilliance. Though I probably wouldn't have if I hadn't been encouraged to do so, and indirectly. But no, it definitely was not Nick Rekieta who said that. I'm not being sarcastic, so don't assume it is. Yeah, I made an oopsie. Big brave move. I don't know. It's like I said, in my reply, because I didn't say anything to him, the smart ass motherfucker that was representing the DOJ. I didn't say anything to him until I just gave him whatever he wanted. But I said, suppose life is a learning process, isn't it? And I tried not to say much of all. I just gave him whatever I had, which is not much, but it doesn't include an IP address. And I was debating if I don't keep IPs for more than a day for dealing with spam and stuff, but I do take snapshots of the database, because What if it crashes? What if something happens to it? What if it breaks? Obviously, you want snapshots of the database. However, with the current process and the fact that the snapshots don't delete themselves, I technically have a fossil record of basically every IP for a very long time. I have to manually delete them for storage space, and I do that every couple of months. So now I was trying to get verified from a lawyer if the snapshots would be considered, based on the federal rules of evidence, part of the routine, part of ordinary business. Because the way that a subpoena works is that they want information that was acquired via a regular, ordinary business transaction. So, does the snapshots count as evidence accumulated during ordinary business hours? It's a good question that I couldn't answer myself, and I couldn't find anyone to talk to about it. So, I ended up just pulling the IP from that archive from the day of the subpoena and giving them that and the logs associated with it, because I had to. And I told them in the email, I set those aside. I gave them PDFs of all the publicly accessible stuff that was available through the website, and I set aside the logs, and I said, this stuff may not be valid under the rules of evidence. So now I have to reevaluate how I'm doing the snapshots, because I hadn't thought about it before. I never thought that the day would come where a U.S. federal grand jury would subpoena a man from, I guess I can say it doesn't matter, a man from Texas for sharing books. That's what he did. It was 3 PDFs, which would constitute a book in the U.S., and apparently the mere act of sharing those books is something worth investigating in the U.S. I never thought the day would come, at least not for many years, not 2019, but the precedent has been set, I suppose. And what's funny is I expected a lot more attention from people. I mean, not to sound arrogant, but I expected when I posted it and stuff, like maybe like 1,000 retweets. I expected to see it on poll for a couple of days, and not really. It got 240 in the 3 days that it was up. It immediately died off, and I saw it on poll maybe once or twice, and that was it. And nobody cared. Nobody emailed me about it. The people I was suggested to contact didn't talk to me. One person in particular, who's a very famous federal attorney, I contacted, and he literally told me that the entire world would be better off with my website not existing and me dead. So that was great. It is what it is. I mean, I might have to I mean, I can't afford it. I can't afford to put, a retainer on a federal attorney, a retainer on a regular defense attorney is $5,000. So how much does a federal defense attorney like that cost? Probably $10,000, $15,000 at least, just to have him get his phone number so I can call him and ask him questions about the federal rules of evidence. So it is. What book? It is, it's, I don't want to say. You can find it, though, easily. It's on the thread on the forum, if you go look. I mean, it's more of a pamphlet. It's a manifesto. You know what I mean. It's not like a titled book that they sell on Amazon or anything. But then again, the Unabomber's manifesto is sold on Amazon. It has a name and everything. And the money goes to the families, I think, but who cares? It's just ideas on a piece of paper. And apparently, those are dangerous these days. I have little cue cards where I took notes on. Isn't that cute? It was a good test of the warrant canary. I think I might have mentioned this last time on Thursday. But it was a good test to see if people would notice if the canary went down for something that was like an NSL. But then again, I was not given an NSL, by the way. There is no surveillance, as far as I'm aware. No surveillance through me on anything that I host. But, if I do get an NSL, I'll probably violate it. If they say you can't talk about this, why would I comply with that? There's like a breaking point where it's something so absurd. Like, you can't tell me. You can't command me not to talk about something. I wouldn't, like, I'm obviously not going to give up my life to defend one idiot who's probably not going to, like, they can't charge him with anything, but they're going to harass him. They're going to send feds to his door to talk to him and be like, hey, we gotta have a discussion about this online hatery that you're spreading around on the internets here. You up to anything, boy? You up to no good? Posting these books on the internet, boy? And then I'm sure he'll fall in line because everyone wants, like I say, everyone wants tomorrow to be like today, and they want today to be like yesterday. And when something threatens that, they'll stop the action that prevents their tomorrow from being like today. So that action is posting things on the internet. Most people, once they get a knock on the door from the FBI, are just going to stop altogether because, and that, as far as I'm concerned, that's the chilling effect that's desired with this inquiry. But as far as I go, I'm not going to sacrifice anything because one guy forgot to use a fucking VPN, which I don't understand. If you're going to be spreading manifestos on the internet, perhaps you should invest in a $5 a month VPN. At least then I don't feel bad about it. But I would probably ignore a national security letter because I think those are unconstitutional and they can bite my ass. Okay. That brings me to this other thing I saw. I have a really positive, happy, happy talk for Halloween prepared. I do have. Oh, it's not Halloween yet, so I don't have to feel bad. I was going to do streams on dead fat people, but I decided against it because I don't want to get cyberbullied for it. But I do have a 2-for-1 prepared for tomorrow, so you can look forward to that. As for right now, I have nothing but negative things to say. Let's see. I saw this, like lots of things came out today and yesterday that are worth talking about, and all came at once. I've just been kind of pouring through it. This is an article on the WAPO by Why America Needs a Hate Speech Law by Richard Stengel. Is not just by some idiot from the Washington Post. It is Richard Stengel, a former editor of Time, and he was the State Department's Undersecretary for Public Diplomacy and Public Affairs from 2013 to 2016. And his essential argument is that, as he puts it here, Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes, the long name, assertion that the Constitution and the First Amendment are not just about protecting free thought for those we agree with, but freedom for the thought that we hate. But as a government official traveling around the world championing the virtues of freedom of speech, I came to see how our First Amendment standard is an outlier. Even with the most sophisticated Arab diplomats that I dealt with, did not understand why the First Amendment allows someone to burn a Quran. Why, they asked me, would you ever want to protect that? To which underwriter for the Department of State's secretary says, it is a fair question. That's not really. Yes, the First Amendment protects thought we hate, but it should not protect hateful speech that can cause violence by one group against another. In an age when everyone has a megaphone, that seems like a design flaw, as if the idea was not considered when it was written. Because after all, the Constitution was written at a time where men rode on horses, right? And he goes on, he complains about how Russia tricked people during the election using our freedom of speech protections. And it just makes me wonder, the big thing when I read things like this and about people advocating for restrictions on speech, it makes me wonder if they've ever once stopped and thought that maybe they're the wrong ones. Because he goes on to say, let's see. On the internet, truth is not optimized. It is not enough to battle falsehood with the truth. The truth doesn't always win. In the age of social media, the marketplace model doesn't work. A Stanford study showed that 82% of middle schoolers couldn't distinguish between an ad labeled sponsored content and an actual news story. Only a quarter of high school students could tell the difference between actual verified news sites and one from a deceptive account designed to look like a real one. And the line right before that is, the presumption has always been the marketplace would offer a level playing field, but in the age of social media, that landscape is neither level nor fair. And like his complaint is that it's very hard to spread truth. in an era of misinformation. But it really makes me wonder if it's the other way around and he doesn't even know it. And he's never once in his life, I'm sure he's like 50 based on what his career field has been, but never once has he paused and reflected on maybe if the things that he believes are false. And he just assumes that the Constitution is the one that's wrong. It's freedom of speech that's morally reprehensible. And it concerns me because these are things that I never expected to see. I never expected to see federal grand jury subpoenas about books. I've never expected to see mainstream news publications advocating for, just staunch restrictions on speech, not even like on certain acts, but in speech in general. I didn't intend to pull this up, so give me a second. Oh, my Swiss proxy. Speaking of Switzerland, trans hate speech. I like to throw this article up every time someone talks about how great Switzerland is. Switzerland rules transphobia and homophobia illegal. And I really like this quote. The Swiss Parliament's decision is great news because it sends the powerful message that homophobia is not an opinion. As for racism, it's a violation of the law. It is not an opinion, it is a violation of the law. And I don't understand how people can string those words together and not be terrified by what they say and to staunchly advocate for it every day of their lives as their political mission. I don't understand where these people come from and how they come to be like they are. Because even in Florida, even with the education such that it is in Florida, I read 1984. I read books like that. I haven't read many books in my entire life, but I've definitely read 1984. And somehow these people get elected. So I'm so sick of hearing about how Switzerland is this bastion of free speech and consumer privacy and everything. It's like I don't trust them. They seem insane. They seem mentally ill. They seem to be very, very anti the things that they're known for. And the entire country of Switzerland is like, it's a manufacturing place for like fancy brands where the Red Plus itself is like a brand recognition thing. And the people associated them with wrongthink and crime like this. They probably wouldn't put so much trust in the Red Plus. Oh, well. Bolshevism. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't intend to show that, but it made me think about the tangent. Though it is in theme with the other things. Actually, let's go on to Divergent because I don't want to keep hammering this. Though I do want to close out on it. I found this very funny. In video game news, starting October 28th. I didn't hear about this until today, but as of 2 days ago, if you have CS:GO keys in your inventory, you can no longer trade them with anyone because apparently, according to Valve itself in this press release, hold on, I want to see the words. In the past, most key trades we observed were between legitimate customers. However, worldwide fraud networks have recently shifted to using CS:GO keys to liquidate their gains. At this point, nearly all key purchases that ended up being traded or sold on the marketplace were believed to be fraud sourced. That is nuts. It makes me wonder how much of the economy for microtransactions and stuff like this is actually just fraudsters liquidating their assets. Because it sure seems like a lot. It makes me wonder if it's so significant that Valve might actually make a game now. I don't think they will. I think that they make enough money from other microtransaction sources that they're not going to bother making a new game. But especially with this, it's kind of silly. Nearly all, that has to be. It had to have been so significant that the federal government had to get involved and say, like, look, we're dealing with $1 billion a year of fraudulent credit card purchases going through this network, buying your fucking CS:GO keys and selling the account on eBay and stuff. In order for them to pull it, because that's a lot of money. That's money they don't want to lose. They won't make any new games anytime soon. That's probably true. I'm not holding my breath for a new Valve game, but I did find that interesting. What else? Okay, I guess I'll just talk about the big thing that happened like just today that I was kind of dealing with. Well, there are actually two things. I was working up till to the minute, setting these things up and trying to get this organized. Apparently, time zones have changed in certain areas, but not others. I swear, I went to Google and I made sure that the time was. I thought I always did 3 p.m. Eastern time and 10 p.m. Moscow time, and people are telling me that I'm a week ahead in a bunch of places. I don't know why. It's kind of weird. I think the clocks changed in like Europe and stuff. So I thought I got it right, but maybe not. I was setting up a torrent for Dick Masterson's Dr. Phil episode. If you don't know, he got his start essentially from Dr. Phil because he made his book Men Are Better Than Women, and I got Dr. Phil invited him onto a 4-episode special, which is like a Big Brother reality TV thing. He and like 5 other, as Dr. Phil put it, extremely judgmental people were put into like a Big Brother house to work out their issues together. And that is what led to him like getting introduced to Maddox and starting the biggest problem in the universe and all the other stuff. Like his origin, his genesis is this Dr. Phil tape. And it somehow vanished off the internet. From what I was told, is that 2 of the women on that show sued Dr. Phil's network, and they pulled that episode everywhere. And because it aired in like 2007 or something, they didn't have too much digital media recording this Dr. Phil episode. So it's essentially just been gone. But somebody figured out that hold on, let me get the actual name of it because it's really funny. It's really long, is what it is. Was it just gone? I wrote a note and everything. It's Swedish. It is the National Archive of Recorded Sound and Moving Images, a part of the National Library of Sweden. And I have a domain, kb.se, and that is where this episode was found. So it's actually hard encoded with Swedish subtitles. The wish they had the actual name there somewhere. Oh, the bibliothek, whatever. Apparently, Sweden, for a very long time, has archived everything that has ever been shown on Swedish television in this library. And so, in order to recover this Dr. Phil episode, 12 years down the road, someone had to register with the Library of Sweden and specifically request the recovery of this lost episode. And they have, and they're 40 minutes long each. There's 4 of them, and they're trying to get out there. There's like multiple versions, and some of them are crappy, some of them are bloated. Somebody tried putting them up on YouTube, and surprisingly, the Dr. Phil network is still enforcing DMCA on this lost episode of this 12-year-old episode of Dr. Phil, which people are trying to get out there. So I've archived it on the forum, and I'm going to set up a torrent for it. Or sorry, someone who is not me has archived it on the forum, and someone who is not me is trying to set up a torrent for it. Allegedly. I have no way to verify this. They may be buying a VPS in Ukraine because they're aware that the DMCA, that Ukraine has very special intellectual property laws, and they don't really care about DMCAs. So they're buying that VPN or VPS in Ukraine so that they can seed this Dr. Phil episode and get it to the masses. It's the most important Dr. Phil episode in the world, and we need to fight for it. We need to fight for this more than we need to fight for freedom of speech or for protections against the government, like grand jury subpoenas. We need to make sure this Dr. Phil episode with hard-coded Swedish subtitles becomes a part of our cultural history. All right. Okay. Now for this thing right here. This is a upcoming lawsuit. It literally the docket for this was just published on the El Paso District Court website like an hour ago. So I've been actively trying to archive stuff as it's coming along, and I'm waiting for the initial filings to become publicly available so I can post them as well. But let me read you the actual title of this lawsuit. 1 second. I have it here. Oh. Okay. It is William C. Inglesby, Edith Halberg, Richard Inglesby, and Elizabeth Anderson as heirs of the body of Angelina Silva Inglesby, deceased, versus Patrick Wood Crusius, John Brian Crusius, Lori Lynn Crusius, Larry P. Brown, Cynthia B. Brown, 8chan, and James A. Watkins, individually and doing business as Pacific Internet Exchange LLC, and NT Technology Inc., Matthew Prince, individually and doing business as Cloudflare Inc., Frederick Brennan, all of whom are joint and severally called 8chan, and John Doe's 1 through unknown. Let me just put this on the screen so I can show you all this at once. It is a massive title. Because it's like six plaintiffs representing a deceased person, and then like 6 more people and 4 business entities, plus a John Doe as an anonymous poster on 8chan, 1 through unknown. So they don't even know how many people they're suing. They're collectively suing all of 8chan in its entirety. And from what I understand, they're suing it for negligence. They're suing it for negligent behavior. Allowing the shooting to happen, I guess, by spreading a hateful message. So I mean, I don't even know how they expect this to go, because I don't know enough about the family law to say that, okay, is the family liable for someone going on a killing spree? Probably not. Is Jim liable for it? Probably not. Is Cloudflare liable for it? Especially not. The interesting thing about including Frederick is that he hasn't been involved with 8chan in like over a year, so I don't even know how they tie him in at all. And then John Doe's 1 through unknown, perhaps they might be, like if someone who says, okay, you go shoot up this mall because it's got bad people in it and you need to take care of them, maybe that would be culpable, but they don't even know who they are. They're going to try to subpoena 8chan. The guy even says, let me pull up the article. The Inglesby family seeks this lawsuit to stop the hate, to send a message to people who are going to travel 600 miles or 1 mile to injure, maim, or kill someone because of their national origin, their background, their religion, or whatever the case may be, just because they live hate, Cher said. And Cher is the attorney representing the family. Where is it? There was a specific point where they said, the petition also names John Doe's 1 through unknown as defendants, and Cher said he has subpoenaed Crusius's computer and cell phone. So he's not even subpoenaing like the right entity. He's not subpoenaing Jim. He's subpoenaing the shooter, the shooter's estate, computer and cell phone, so he can identify who Crusius was in communication with leading up to the shooting and who may have helped Crusius travel from Allen to El Paso. The attorney said he anticipates subpoenaing 8chan for evidence. So he literally wants to identify every single person on 8chan and sue them, I guess, for negligence and saying things that could be interpreted as hateful. I mean, I don't see the case at all. Subpoenaing. I mean, it is probably going to be fun. I don't know. I imagine a lot of entities are going to, like the ADL, is probably going to donate a lot of money to this guy to try and get him in. But really, Jim Watkins and his companies and Prince and his company Cloudflare are all automatically excluded from the lawsuit because of the CDA. Frederick not having worked with the company is not relevant at all in any way, shape, or form. So he would not be included in the lawsuit unless there is a specific message that they're citing from Frederick as being a negligent statement. As for again, I don't know the details with the family, but the family doesn't. I mean, how can you hold someone culpable for what your kid does? I know that in Asia it's a thing. The DPRK will kill your family if you flee the country. Japan will fine you if you jump in front of a train, because that way you have the guilt. You're not going to damage the train and get away with it. When you're jumping, you know that your family's going to have to deal with the bills, the thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of yen, and damages and delays and stuff. And then in China, if you become a political dissident, you hurt your family's credit score, social credit score, because the logic is, number one, it gives you incentive not to become a political dissident because your family gets hurt for it. But then the logic is also that the family played a role in your neglecting you, I guess, in creating a political dissident. Because otherwise, if you had had a better family, you would have had a more loyal upbringing, right? So the idea of punishing family members for something that someone does, is a very effective idea that's implemented in mostly Asian countries. I've been told that in Europe, that you can also be held liable. You can be fined if you cause damage by your suicide, like your family can. But most companies don't pursue that because it looks bad on them to try and collect damages from a grieving family. But it's very effective, and I expect to see more of it in the West over time, just as a chorus, because it works, and we're hurting for solutions to complicated problems right now. So why not, right? I do want to say, this article is extremely good. Like this website, unfortunately, if you go to like the www version of El Paso Times, it's terrible. But if you're in the EU version because of your proxy or whatever, you get taken to this website, which is just the news story, and there's no advertisements, and you got images where they should be, and the writing's pretty good. So be sure to support your local newspaper, kids, because this is much better than the Washington Post or whatever. This website, at least. Let's see. I'm thinking there was something else from this particular article that I want to read. Oh, Crusius's parents and grandparents, with whom he was living with at the time of the shooting, were negligent in fostering an environment which encouraged hate crimes and allowing weapons in the home where Crusius resides, despite knowing of his dangerous propensities. I guess that's fair. That's more fair than bringing Frederick in, because Frederick is screwed. I wanted to show this as well. All that time kissing up, all that time spending your life talking to reporters and kissing ass to try and recuse yourself from any potential litigation and criminal investigation regarding 8chan. And what good did it do? He's inexorably tied to it. He created it, right? So he's the most negligent. And by creating a website, he is the most criminal that a criminal could ever possibly criminal. He is personally criminally liable for every bad thought that spun off of his terrible web zone, 8chan. His response, this is how I found it, by the way, his timeline. James Schur is apparently suing myself, East Dakota, which is a Cloudflare CEO, Jim Watkins, and a few members of the Crusius family for the death of Angelina Inglesby, killed in the El Paso shooting. One problem, where's the filing? I'd love to help you, Mr. Sure. Why sue me? Oh, I'm not particularly fond of that. I'd love to help you, Mr. Sure. Why sue me? Because he wants money. That's why. He doesn't care about your association. So now Frederick is left in an awkward position where he has like three options with that. He can either independently contact the attorney and be like, I'm going to help you. I'm going to join your side of the lawsuit and saying that Jim is negligent, which is probably what he's already done. He's probably already emailing that guy trying to exempt himself from the lawsuit in exchange for witness testimony against Jim or whatever. But then option two is like he can pay his own money, which he has, for defense in El Paso. And then option three is to just ignore it and hope it goes away. Option three is probably your best bet, to be honest. I can't imagine that this is going to get very far, especially with him. But he's definitely going to go with option one. It's very saddening, because at first I kind of understood what his gripe was, because I don't like Jim at all, and I really don't have any confidence in Jim. But what he's doing right now is objectively a good thing, creating alternatives to existing services and putting your money where your mouth is. Those are all objectively good things. This idea of helping some family in El Paso sue an indefinite and unlimited and undefined number of anonymous users from 8chan is just preposterous. Like, how can you even look at this and think that they have a case against anyone? Perhaps the family, but definitely not random people on a site. And good luck even finding information on 8chan in subpoenas, because they're removing the site. It's been down for like 3 months now. What information can you possibly get from them? I don't even know if they have a copy of the database up. No, Jim wants on, huh? I'm sure he's a bit busy. The time zones are a bit weird in the Philippines. Let's see. Including me in the suit is ridiculous, as I, A, was not working on 8chan for over 2 years at the time of the El Paso shooting, and I, B, have been working tirelessly to keep 8chan offline since the shooting. We should work together, not against each other. I'd testify against Jim. Oh, there we go. As I predicted. I was right again. Gonna offer testimony in exchange for recusal. That's why I want to see the filing. So, in reply to DC Kurtz saying, I mean, even then, it doesn't seem like there's a case against Jim that is that strong. There's no precedent, and Section 230 immunity may even be in play here. Of course it is. Of course 230 is in play here. That's why I want to see the filing so badly, Frederick replies. The fact that there's, as of yet, no public filing, I find that suspicious. If they have a good case against Jim Watkins, I'm happy to help, but I definitely need to read that filing first. There is a filing. I'll show it again. I don't think that the docket is public yet. You might have to request it from the clerk of court. But here's the full list of defendants and the plaintiff. And as you can see, they did keep their promise, and they filed the original petition, doc ID number 1, and e-file event original filing. So I don't know, if somebody knows how to get a hold of that, please let me know so I can keep in the public archive of that PDF, because that's pretty important to me. Though I mean, as silly as it sounds, as silly as all this is, it has pretty dire consequences for everyone else, because now Matthew Prince is thinking, okay, we're going to have to hire an attorney, a federal business attorney, to represent Cloudflare and show up at court, probably charging $2,000 an hour in El Paso. So I'm going to have to pay for his flight and for his suit dry cleaning because of all that desert sand, and I'm going to have to pay for all this. to fight this case, and it's just going to it's going to cost a ton of money, regardless of how quickly it peters out. And the longer it goes, the worse it is. And it's probably going to go at least. I can't imagine it being thrown out immediately, because you're going to have a ton of local support from the judge. He'll probably let it play out longer than just immediately disposing of it for being complete garbage. Even against Cloudflare and Matthew Prince, because they are suing the person, Matthew Prince, and not just Cloudflare Incorporated. So he's going to have to get representation as well, and it may be the same guy. So that guy's salary just went up to $4,000 an hour. And once it's done, he's not going to want other contentious websites on Cloudflare, is he? Because it's suddenly becoming a legal expense. It's becoming a big bill that the Cloudflare budget department has to deal with, an addendum to everything else, to all the bad publicity. Because the average normie who's reading the Washington Post and thinking about how we can rewrite the First Amendment to include a clause for hate speech being illegal, is going to be reading this next and thinking, oh, thank God someone's finally doing something about hate speech. This is the case. We're going to get this all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court's going to decide that hate speech is not protected under the First Amendment, and it's going to be so great. So thank you, I guess. Though Frederick's opinion would be that extremist websites like 8chan would inherently pose this threat to us, right? Because it is the extreme. It represents the whole freedom of speech thing, and as in a negative light. It's bad publicity for everyone else under the umbrella. It's bad optics, so to speak. And obviously I disagree with that, but that would be his argument. Well, you know what I mean by extreme. Internet too. Good luck. Good luck. IT will move to China. Well, speaking of China, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I forgot about something. Oh, what was it? Oh, I am glad you mentioned that. I completely forgot about this. I made a tweet about it, but now I can pull this up and complain about it, as I like to do. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so this is an announcement from Poloniex, which I hope I am pronouncing correctly. Poloniex spins out from Circle with new backing and global focus. And this is Poloniex, which is the largest crypto exchange in the world, I want to say. If it's not the largest, it's one of the best. I had a personal experience. It's basically a place to buy and sell cryptos for other cryptos, and to withdraw it. And they've over time they become more strict with Know Your Customer. But as of November 1st, so 2 days from now. Oh, I'm sorry, October 21st. This has already happened. If you are a U.S. citizen, not even if you are in the United States, if you are a U.S. citizen, you will no longer be allowed to use Poloniex to trade cryptocurrency. And the given reason is in this article. We are excited to announce that we are spinning out from Circle into a new company with the backing of a major investment group. The spinout will free us to focus on the needs of global crypto traders with new features, assets, and services. Our first new offer to Poloniex traders is that effective October 21st, all spot trading fees will be reduced to 0% until the end of the year. Poloniex intends to continue beyond that with highly competitive and creative pricing models for traders. Unfortunately, in order to be competitive in the global market, we will not be able to include U.S. customers in the spinout. So Circle will be winding down operations for U.S. Poloniex customers. Beginning today, U.S. persons will no longer be able to create new accounts on Poloniex. Starting November 1st, U.S. customers will no longer be able to execute trades on the exchange. And when trading ends, U.S. customers will still be able to withdraw their assets through Circle until at least December 15th. So the point of this message is that if you do Bitcoin, you are no longer welcome on Poloniex if you are a U.S. citizen. And this has to do with the USA Patriot Act, which is one of the worst bills ever passed in U.S. history, which created the NSA, empowered the NSA to spy on everyone, tap phones unlimitedly, which has been renewed time and time again for no apparent reason to continue to infringe your rights. And it creates a burden on all banking institutions to know your customer. And essentially, if fraud takes place on your bank, it's your fault. And if terrorism takes place as a result of your bank, you're at fault. So if you're a bank, you have to do everything in your power to combat terrorism on your own, not even as a result of a federal interest. You have to have anti-fraud stuff, you have to have anti-terrorism and laundering stuff built into your apparatus. So if you're ever wondering, if you've ever been an American and you've ever gone out of the U.S. and have ever wondered why your banking is so awful out of the country, it's because of the USA Patriot Act and FACTA, which means that any bank that wants to handle the money of a U.S. Citizen has to give up the U.S. Fed basically all of their information. Every transfer you do goes straight to the Fed upon request, and information about non-U.S. citizens can also be requested by the U.S. Fed. So a lot of Swiss bank accounts and other bank accounts that don't target the U.S. Will specifically not allow U.S. citizens to bank with them because the legal requirements of doing business in the United States as a bank is so heavy and so cumbersome and so invasive to the privacy of their non-U.S. citizens, it's not worth it. And I mean, with this kind of stuff, it's what I'm saying. It's like you are not the target audience of these companies anymore. They don't need you. Why would they not want to do business with countries like China instead of the U.S., especially if China doesn't care about your everyday transactions? There was one thing I remember in particular. It was after World War II. A lot of assets that were stolen from Jewish people were reclaimed by international organizations. And this was a bit loose, right? So a lot of art and other invaluable historical assets that were considered to be stolen were in fact not stolen, but it was still managed by this international organization, which I wish I could remember the name of. And it was illegal to sell between private persons internationally without the approval of this international art trade system. And at one point, like a Swiss citizen and a Dutch citizen tried to trade a piece of history that was, or it was like a painting or something that was not a part of, that was allegedly stolen during the war, and they were trying to trade it between two people, and they made the trade for money using SWIFT. Well, America halted this. They literally froze the money, the transfer of money from two private citizens who were not American, who were dealing with property that was not American, because they did not like the trade, because it violated their agreements. And that's the crux of it. This is how America influences international businesses to do business by their rules, and it's preposterous. And as time goes on, as the U.S. gets weaker, nobody wants to put up with this. If I want to trade a painting for money, I shouldn't have to use SWIFT, and I shouldn't have to obey by your banking rules, because it sucks. And it feels like a burden being an American citizen at times, because there are so many international implications with that. If a company wants to trade cryptocurrencies, they just can't do it in the U.S. All right, that was also an aside, but it was brought on by me talking about China, because I was thinking about it. China probably wants you to spy on their people. They don't care about other citizens, at least for right now. So I don't know. This sucks because everyone's going to get shit on for it. 230, they might challenge 230. It might lose popular support in Congress. Cloudflare might get tired of dealing with it and start removing customers more readily. And the thing is, I've been dealing with denial of service attacks all week. And it's been, I kind of know who it is. It doesn't really matter who it is. It's just some guy who's pissed off. And it works through the domains that do not have Cloudflare. So there's something that Cloudflare implicitly deals with that it does not deal with adequately through that, a regular web server without it does not deal with adequately, and it locks up the entire site pretty easily. And I'm still trying to figure out how it works because it triggers a 400 error every time, every request. I know exactly where it's going. I know what website it is. It triggers and it breaks Nginx and causes a 400 error every single time. And I don't know how. And it's very frustrating. And I've been trying to debug it over time. And when he notices that I'm working on it and trying to fix it and restarting the web server, he stops because he knows I'm awake and I'm working on it. So he times it to be like high volume, high activity areas of time, and then stops it when he knows I'm working on it, which reduces the ability to deal with it. But as much as I don't want to admit it, Cloudflare is important to hosting a website. If you want a website to be secure, right, you take it, you put it on a $5 a month VPS on DigitalOcean, you put it behind Cloudflare, and you make sure that the IP doesn't leak. And that way, a hacker only has access to your actual website in the front end. He doesn't know the IP address. He can't guess the password. He can't access any other services on that IP because he doesn't know what it is. It really limits the options for a hacker to go at. But then you can't, you have trouble hosting. So you have to move your services onto a metal box, right? And then all of a sudden your IPs are known because you had to buy your own IP ranges, and now people can start poking around at your other services. You have to get rid of Cloudflare because you're a bad website and they don't want to deal with you. And then DDoS becomes like regular DDoS attacks and denial of service attacks become an issue again. And then you have legal issues because you're trying to not log IPs as much as possible, but you're getting hacked and people are attacking your services. So you have to log IPs in order to adequately deal with the attacks. And it infinitely complicates. And then you get a federal grand jury subpoena. And because you have IP logging on for the first time in a while, because people have been attacking your site for over a month straight, you have to give information that you have, and you can't delete it because it's a federal grand jury subpoena. And it just really sucks. It sucks ass all the time. It's very frustrating. No, Apache is awful. There's no choice. You have to use Nginx. I don't even know what's wrong with my Nginx configuration. I've changed some stuff and it's a little bit better, but it still uses the non-Cloudflare domains. Yeah, no, it's like it doesn't matter who it is. You're never going to be able to the government will not prosecute a DDoS attack or a hack unless they know who it is for sure and they can prove that they know who it is, and it's a commercial target that has significant value to it. Kiwi Farms has negative value to it. They're not going to pursue. They're not going to protect it. That's ridiculous. So I don't know. Any other thoughts? I feel bad I don't have anything fun to talk about. I like to go to my thread on the board and do a last call and see if there's anything I missed. Yeah. Eulalia came back. No, I haven't done Eulalia. I just wish I'm thinking hard. I can't think of anything that happened in the last week that would be worth talking about in terms of actual funny stuff. Did I talk about Yaniv? I think I did. I think this happened before last Wednesday. Did I not talk about Yaniv? Okay, I did. That was last week. I got scared for a second. Though it is funny how rapidly he spread. He's so famous now. He's so disgusting, and he really revels in being infamous, and he revels in having people hate him, and he very much so got what he wanted because now everyone recognizes his face. You post one Oh, Kotaku. That's good. Nick Fuentes. What happened with Fuentes? What happened with Fuentes? I don't want to talk about Asterios. That's boring. The Groypers. Oh, he's having like he's like fussing with like YouTubers and stuff. Oh, I don't know. I don't care about the Finders. What the Finders? The CIA cult that was running like child sex rings in Capitol Hill. Like that's not even funnier. That's the opposite of funny. Probably turning point USA. That's all political stuff. You guys are asking the wrong person. I know. Oh, he had like a debate on something like a neocon. Charlie Kirk had a debate with Nick Fuentes and he lost or something. I heard about it, but I don't know. I'm far past the point of believing in the in the political process where you can have debates and have it matter. Save it for Black Pill. This is the Black Pill stream. This is the spooky Halloween stream. Okay, fine. I'll look it up. How short is it? Okay, turning UNA Fuentes. Well, if he wasn't even allowed in, what's the point of that? I've been led astray. Well, yeah, I'm out of the loop. I know they're real. I know that the Finders are real. I just don't understand. Like we knew about MK Ultra and stuff for years because somebody literally raided an FBI building and stole things, and they found out about the MK Ultra program like decades ago. Like, yeah, obviously the government plays weird experiments on us all the time. Yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on politics. Oh, the Epstein thing. Epstein's body, his strangulation was, or his wound pattern was more in line with homicide than suicide. Yeah, obviously. Yeah, obviously the government is playing games. Obviously the government is killing people. Obviously the government is trying to brainwash people. Obviously the government is trying to change the Constitution of the United States to allow hate speech laws. Obviously the government wants to get rid of Section 230. Obviously the government is subpoenaing random websites so that they can send door knocks to people and scare them into being nice. Obviously the government is doing this. Obviously the government is doing this. It's what they do. It's what they've been doing for decades. Is this news? The Groiper War. I don't even know what that is. Killing me. Okay, this is 2 minutes. I'll watch this. This better be good. Oh, this is... Oh, okay. 2 minutes, fine.
Last night in Ohio, they dominated like 8 out of the 10 questions, and they're promising a Groiper war to go out to all these events with Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk, and just bombard them with these same grievances.
Pussy boy don't want war. Pussy boy don't want war. Pussy boy don't want war.
Oh, is this like a stupid video?
Bringing the order, you keep on
this is a stupid
chaos.
video.
You try and keep it a secret.
It has 9 views. How did I even find this? I was hoping to actually see him talk. Silly me. I was really sad. I'm not pulling up that site on stream. Like I need to ban you for even linking it. You're gonna give me bad vibes. Okay, fine. Well then, link me the actual thing. I'm not pulling it up on stream. That's ridiculous. Is me dumping on the Finder's coverage a roundabout way of having a shot at Jim's coverage? No, I don't care. Like, okay, I get it. The government does bad things. I'm not surprised. Like, I know Jim finds it really interesting because it is. I mean, from what I understand, it's very, very depraved. It's literally the government. But we had this with Obama and Operation whatever the fuck with the gun running. We've been doing this literally for decades. We've been funding terrorist organizations. We've been funding Islamist organizations to fight the communists. We've been sending guns to cartels, and now cartels run all of Mexico. It's just, I put nothing beyond them. I never say that the government can't do this because it's just too evil and too incredible. It is never too evil and too incredible to imagine that the government would do it. Everything that you can think of, the government has done it and justifies it as being in the national interest of the United States of America because they are pure evil incarnate, and they always have been. And we were warned for hundreds of years to not let the government get this much power because they are evil incarnate. And now the most powerful organization in the entire world, the United States government, is literally selling guns to cartels who now cut people's heads off. They literally overthrow entire governments because they find it a little bit more convenient. They literally sell children for sex. What are you surprised by? Where's this link at? Don't make me look in 3 different chats trying to find this link. Okay, this better be good. That's all I gotta say.
That was. What a racist question that was. So I got a quick and fun, lighthearted question for you, Charlie. So I know you gave a speech in Jerusalem earlier this year.
Yes, I did.
Were there any awesome, fun dance parties that you guys had afterwards? I heard that Israelis are some of the best dancers in the world. I mean, if you guys don't believe me, just Google dancing Israelis. It's insane how good their dance moves are. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Well, they didn't include the answer. I would love to hear their answer. So what, these are like Nick Fuentes' people screwing with the neocons? Or is that actually Nick Fuentes wearing a hat? I can't tell. Chat gets that happy. I have to be careful because it's it's literally Nick Fuentes wearing a hat. He better watch himself. He's gonna get deleted off everything if he says that kind of stuff. Oh no, they're magpies. Okay. Zoomers all look alike, that's true. I don't know. It's funny at least. I always like somebody got mad at me for the Israeli flag thing, and they're saying like, oh, you're sucking up, you're kissing ass, and kissing ass ironically is still kissing ass. And it's like you need to retain your sense of humor, because if you don't retain your sense of humor, nobody's going to be inclined to play pity parties with you, which I guess I should take a lesson from. I should revisit that idea. I pinned this on the We Wars board. It's a expression I saw in a movie that has stuck with me because it's very good, and I wanna share it with anyone who takes themselves a little bit too seriously, because it is important, especially these people who say that I can't put up Israeli flags because it's not funny. If you laugh, the world laughs with you. If you cry alone. I mean, it's good to do funny things like that. Show up at these neocon rallies and play games with people. Because if you don't, then you're just a joyless sack of shit who makes everyone miserable, and you're not really progressing anything. Exactly, the clown memes, Clown Pepe. There's a reason why that became popular. It's because people like that kind of stuff now. They don't like sad feelings.
joke, Ray?
No, I think we've had enough of your jokes.
What do you get
I don't think so.
when you cross
I think
a
we're
mentally
done
ill
with you.
loader
That's
with a
it.
society that abandons him and treats him like trash?
Call the police,
I'll
Gene.
tell you what you get.
Call the police.
Get what you fucking deserve.
I hope it was worth it, because that's going to get me a copyright strike. That's okay. That was a good movie, by the way. I highly suggest it if you like character studies. I was not expecting him to say the S word, but he said the S word. Everyone was expecting it to be a movie about like incel white nationalists, and it's a movie about mental illness, and it made everyone look like an asshole for saying that it was a terrible movie that nobody should watch. Oh. Yes, that quote is from Old Boy. Not the one about getting what you fucking deserve, about laughing the world laughs with you. Oh well. Alright. Oh, is this one also good? I'll play this one. And then I might have to call it quits, because I don't want to drag my feet. The more prepared I am, the shorter the streams are, because I get all my talking points out the way. Catholic Groiper destroys Charlie Kirk and the anal sex agenda.
I swear I
think
will
you
be
need to find one.
much
Be
more
quick,
than
straight
him.
to the-
I will. Somebody outside a protester was asking about the term culture war. It's got a long history, started late 1800s, Otto von Bismarck, Culture Kampf. In the late 1990s, mid-1990s, it was reclaimed by conservatives, one of those being E. Michael Jones, who actually started this magazine, Culture Wars magazine, and because of his fantastic work, we now understand... Thank you. Give it up. Because of E. Michael Jones' groundbreaking work, we now understand that sexual liberation is political control. It's a form of political control. And you have multiple times advocated on behalf of accepting homosexuality, accepting homosexual acts as normative in the conservative movement. How does anal sex help us win the culture war?
I'm going to let the gay man answer
Wait a minute. So can I ask you a question? Can you have the balls to ask the...
Oh wait, so this is a neocon Turning Point USA convention they have with a gay black speaker, and a bunch of Nick Fuentes Daily Stormer types showed up and started doing Q&A with them. That's actually pretty fun. I regret I regret not seeing this now. I'll have to watch it in full, because that seems like a great comedy routine.
gay man on the stage that question and don't defer to him? So ask me that question. I will answer you that question. I'm gonna answer you. You already asked the question, so I'm gonna answer that question. I'm gonna ask you that question. This is America. This is the greatest freaking nation in the world. We realize that America is great because we have Western values. We realize that, let me finish, dude. We realize that gays and lesbians are able to contribute to American society in the same way that everybody else is. And let me tell you, when
Oh
you
my
continue
God.
doing that, okay, you realize that we are here. We are able to do everything. And let me tell you something as well. I served in the military, right? I served 5 years. I did an Iraq turn. What's up?
How does homosexual sex help us win the culture war?
Who said homosexual sex helps you win the culture war?
That is the question that I'm asking. Why are you promoting it?
Well, it's a BS question, and you know it is. It's a question that is not being. It's not a good faith question.
So I'm
it's
going
not
to
a
be
good
honest.
faith question.
Rob, honestly, I don't care what two consenting adults do. So that's
the whole thing.
And your hyper focus on it is kind of weird. Thanks for being
I hate that.
You seem to be really interested in gay sex. I'm pretty sure.
I hate this. That's cringe.
You can go find somebody to do it with. I don't know. Maybe.
That whole, if you don't like something, then you secretly do like it. Like if you hate spiders, you wanna jizz all over a spider. Yeah, I hate that. That argument is completely flawed logic. That everyone who doesn't like gay people is secretly homosexual. I don't even know. I think it comes from like the Catholic Church thing, where like the gays and the pedophiles would go into chastity. to absolve themselves of sin. They can just live a life without sex instead of living with it, and then they can't after they turn like 30 to 40. But the shit is it's really like passe, or it's almost like certifiably not true that everyone who doesn't like gay people is gay.
Next question.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, Mr. Kirk.
And wait a minute, let me, this is my first culture war, so I want to say that I have to make a statement, and I'm not here to tell anybody what to think or what to believe, but for me, somebody like that doesn't really have any place in the conservative movement because it's something that is so behind the times.
He's getting torn up.
And you can boo and you can do whatever you want to, baby, because I'm going to be me, and I'm still here.
Thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate it. Next question.
What's the question?
My question is largely directed to Mr. Kirk because you were raised as a conservative. Part of the issue I see here is, what's your name, Rob?
Yeah.
So you're saying, oh, you're behind the times, this isn't conservative. Well, we don't want centrists in the conservative movement. We want to retain our core values.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
We don't want drag.
But here's the thing.
Sorry.
It's not about what you want, because here's the thing. The beauty about social media is that I can be me and I can bring myself to the table.
I did mute myself while I was switching videos. I said I'm glad this guy clipped them all because I'm gonna watch them. So I've never seen these before. Just a heads up. It's really interesting. It's really interesting. Like, was this coordinated? Like, did Nick Fuentes put out like a tweet saying like, if you're in this area, please come by and boo this gay black soldier for me? Is that what happened, or is this just coincidental? Because I can't tell.
And it's not about what you want, it's about what the people want. And if there are enough people in this movement that say, hey, Rob is cool, he's gay, whatever, it really doesn't matter what you think. You can say whatever you want, and you can believe whatever you want to believe. Let me ask my question. But it's not going to stop me from doing what I'm doing. And it's not going to deplatform me.
So my question is, again, it's directed to Mr. Kirk because he was raised as a conservative. As the guy before has said, you've advocated for homosexuality, said that there's a place for the gay agenda within the conservative movement. My question is, and you're also comfortable with transgenders and cross-dressers, I understand. So my question is there any point where conservatives should take a moral stance on Christian morality, or should we abandon it altogether? So in other words, what is what is your brand of conservatism doing to actually conserve Christian morality? If we're ceding to the left on transgender, gay rights, gay marriage, we don't want that in conservatism.
No homo, but this guy really dressed up. Like, usually when these people get out there in public and they start like having their soliloquy, they usually look like hot garbage, like they just came out of a basement and they were reading Paul. This guy like got his hair cut, he got his beard trimmed, he's in like this weird jean vest with patches on it and stuff, with Roman patches on it. He really wanted to not look like a slob.
So you don't want him in the conservative movement? I just want to be very clear. Let's just be. Rob.
So you don't want me in the movement?
No. Hold on a sec. I want to be very clear. Hold on a sec. You're bringing some very charged language. I'm going to try to calm down the temperature in the room, so I can try to rationally understand an irrational position.
Oh, boo!
Let me finish.
What an awful retort.
Let me finish. So, I'm a Christian. I believe the Bible's the greatest book ever to exist in the history of the world. And I believe Rob Smith has decency and dignity as an individual in the United States of America. Hold on a second. We're not a theocracy. We never have been.
And you know what? And wait a minute. Let me hop in here.
Oh, they're losing it. They're losing their composure fast. This is great.
The thing that I don't understand. Well, I'm addressing you. How about that?
You don't even have the courage to address the gay man on stage.
So the problem that I have with, as somebody that is a gay Christian, and this is the problem that I have, because my relationship with God.
This guy's like a catch-all. He's a black gay Christian conservative soldier. Like he's just like a facade at which to fling your criticism of Turning Point USA, like from the left. Like the left can't criticize him at all because he has all the filters on that block that out. But from his own party, he is the biggest cliche possible. He's like a joke. He's a clown. That's pretty funny. I'm glad I get to see all these. I'm glad this guy archived them all like this.
And coming back into the church over the past year and a half is one of the greatest gifts that has been given to me in terms of being in this movement. So my question to everybody who tries to say that, oh, you shouldn't be, Christian because you're gay. Why are you trying to turn people away from God? So if you love God, and Christianity is so right, because I do love God, so why would you be trying to turn me away? Why would you be trying to turn me away from God?
So we're going to get to
another thing, and one thing that I don't do, and one thing that I don't do is that there is no man that is of this earth that is going to tell me what God has for me and how much God loves me. So goodbye. Thank you for your question.
Thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate
it. I mean, his answer was pretty good. But, somebody mentioned in the chat, like, I hate this identity front loading. That's something that I really, really, really liked about Common Filth when he was still doing stuff. He would always, whenever someone would say, as a X, he would do as a blankety blank. And they all do it. Like, as a blankety blank. This question can be specifically and more adequately answered by me because I'm a blankety blank. And they all do it. They can't just answer a question with merits. They have to front load it with this. They have to predicate it by saying that they're especially equipped to answer it. What's a black guy? No, he's just really dark looking.
Population projections. In 2045, whites will account for less than 50% of the population in the United States. Given that the Democratic Party's policies do not point towards the maintaining of our American ideals, and given the most groups other than whites overwhelmingly vote Democrat, how can we be sure that said American ideals will be maintained when millions of immigrants come in with majority Democratic support? Can you prove that our white European ideals can be maintained if the country's majority is no longer made up of white European descendants?
Somebody booed him and everyone starts clapping. It's a good question.
Should we support mass legal immigration?
Okay, thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Did you hear that? When he asked about that, Charlie Kirk had to specifically say he wasn't clapping.
Mass legal immigration.
That's funny.
Okay, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Let me answer, I guess, your question with my perspective. I've been asked this a couple times in the last week and a half. Let me tell you my stance on immigration, then I'm going to tell you where I think you go terribly wrong with your question. Okay? I think that we should embrace Senator Tom Cotton's RAISE Act, which is to lower the amount of legal immigrants into our country, but increase the merit base that we let people to come into our country. End the visa lottery, end chain migration, make English the official language of the United States, build the southern border, and restrict the amount of flow of border jumping
but
and
why?
to come into our country. But I'm always perplexed by this argument that I'm always interested by this argument, like, oh, how are we going to maintain our white status? So let's play out that racist idea. And all of a sudden we let a bunch of French people in our country. No, let's play that idea. We let a bunch of German or French people who are all socialist and hate our values. The insinuation of your question is that somehow race and ideology are intertwined together. President Donald Trump has been wrongly accused of being a racist president. Do you know that President Donald Trump received more support in the Latino and the black community than John McCain and Mitt Romney?
Combined.
I will also say that it is a failure of the conservative movement to not be able to communicate to communities in the black community, which I believe the black community is an inherently conservative community, a community that is around the ideas
of a
Judeo-Christian tradition.
Judeo-Christian.
It's a pro-life community. It's a hard-working community. And so to reject your premise that, oh, how are we going to keep the white status of this, I find that to be a racist question. I reject the
it's
idea
obviously
behind
racist.
It. I do not think America should become a white ethno-state as a country. In fact, I think that is a fringe perspective. I appreciate you being here, and I'm going to rationally push back against it every single time I come in contact with it. Thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate it.
That was a good answer, at least. I'm glad this guy includes the answers. This archiver. He did a good job. I might archive these on the site as well, because it's pretty good. My thing is that, okay, when someone comes over from Germany or the Netherlands or Sweden or France, especially right now, they're probably not going to be socialist, because if they're moving at all to the U.S., they probably don't like where their government's going. My question is, to him, in response, is if you want to limit the immigration from Mexico and from other countries, why? Why do you want to reduce immigration? Why do you want to create the southern border? If it's a genuine grab bag, like he explained it to be, why does it matter how many people live in the U.S.? Because we don't have social services, right? I mean, we do have Medicare, but if you have many more young people come in who pay taxes and start feeding into Medicare, why would you not want 100 million new people of age 20 from Mexico and from abroad if the ideological positions of them are all going to be congruent with the U.S. as it stands right now? It's clearly there's a hole, there's a gap in that logic that I don't think he wants to admit. So I wish I could ask him that, because I'd be interested in hearing his response.
All right, so I've followed you for a while. I've listened to a lot of your talks, and my question is this. Given that your interpretation of traditional conservative values stems from 1965 on immigration and 2015 on race, I'd like to know, how long do we have to wait until child drag shows are pushed as American traditional conservative?
Let me answer that. I'm going to answer that question. So I get a lot of crap, and I've been getting a lot of crap from people in this room about being a gay conservative. And let me be very clear right now. No, you're not. But okay, that's great. But let me address
served in
that.
the United States military. That's what he conserved, my friend.
How about I
served
conserve
Oh
in the
my
military
God.
While you're a coward and you go to the front of
This
the
guy
line.
loves the
How about I
BBC.
Iraq to protect our freedoms while you go up talking about conserving our country.
You know, Charlie Kirk has said like 8 times throughout these clips, why don't you, I can't believe you don't have the balls, you don't have the audacity to ask the black gay guy about this question. Why you got to ask me? And then when the black guy is talking, he's interrupting him. Like he thinks he has a better way of explaining this very pointed conjecture aimed at the black guy. Like he thinks he has a better way of explaining it. It's very embarrassing for him to be such a cheerleader for this guy and not allow him to speak when he's given the opportunity. Very bad, very poor showing from this guy, Kirk.
Your freedoms when I was fighting in Iraq for you. How about that? Is that a good enough answer about what I conserve? So
no, it's not.
So let me be clear, because I want to address what he's saying, because I think that there's a valid point in what he's saying, even though what he's saying is crap. So there's this idea that there's a lot of crap going on in the far, I call it the LGBT alphabet soup left, that myself as a gay conservative is like pushing back on.
He stole that from Dave Chappelle.
Is garbage. Okay, the drag kid stuff is garbage.
Thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate it.
If I got cut off a little bit early. I mean, it was a good question, and I'm happy he asked it, because the response from Kirk especially was very funny. But I mean, it is slippery slope fallacy, but the slippery slope has not been a fallacy for quite some time. And I disagree with the idea that being a soldier automatically makes you like a patriot. People seem to believe that there's like this filter, like you go into boot camp and you come out when you get your pension, when you get your honorable discharge, as a guaranteed certified fresh like patriot. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. Like we have all sorts of veterans who are clearly anti-American. I think that Reality Winter Woman was a veteran for the Army as far as the interpreter. And she committed treason, essentially, what she was doing. And not even for a good reason. She wasn't doing a whistleblower thing. She didn't follow the protocol for, exposing injustice or anything. She just stole irrelevant documents from the from the government. But I mean, she was a veteran. I don't think anyone's calling Reality Winner a stand-up patriot. She's an idiot. Well, I'm sure some people are. Okay, this guy's the last one, and then I think we're done.
Hello. So my name is Patrick Casey. I'm an American nationalist and America First patriot. And thanks, guys. So, and despite all of that, despite my ardent support for the president and his policies, I was actually kicked out of CPAC earlier this year.
But I didn't kick you out of this event.
No, and I'm not going to blame. I'm not going to blame you.
Just making sure.
Yeah. You're very defensive here. I get that. As was my good friend Nicholas J. Fuentes, whom I believe you were just discussing up there. I'm not going to blame me for that.
I just want to make sure.
I've got a question here.
Is that the troll that keeps tweeting about me?
He's not a troll. He's a very intelligent guy.
The troll.
He seems to be getting a lot of you guys to say stuff for him tonight. So.
I don't debate trolls.
He doesn't debate trolls.
I think we've been debating them all night.
Right, so I'm just citing CPAC's decision to remove American nationalists from their conference. I'm not blaming you for that. I'm moving it into something.
I don't run CPAC either.
Right, and I just said that I'm not blaming you. I've said that 3 times. So, but you do run TPUSA, and TPUSA did remove its relationship with Ashley St. Clair, who all she really did was take a picture with Nick Fuentes. She was in the same room. So my question to you, Charlie, is as someone who, purports to be pro-debate, free speech, and, the exchange of ideas, do you support blackballing people based on having controversial opinions, or being even in the same room when a photograph is taken with someone who has controversial opinions? And the second part of that question is, if the answer is no, will you debate me on immigration, identity, and demographics?
Well, so first of all, I mean this respectfully. I have no idea who you are. The other thing, that was a private matter. Ashley's a good person. We handled it privately. That's all I'm going to say about that. And finally, I just want to make a broader statement. I want to make a broader statement. My stance on Israel, I'm not going to back away on it. My stance on immigration is a mainstream.
What's his stance on Israel?
And I think it's really incredible because the
He didn't say
amount of
it.
people that have been here tonight that have shown hatred towards Rob, that have been shown hatred towards his ideas, is pretty incredible. And so I really don't know who you are, and the fact you're getting as upset as you are.
Hey, you guys, who likes Cardi B? Cardi B? You know she has that song,
Shut up,
people do anything for clout. That Cardi B song, people do anything for clout.
Dude, nobody listens to Cardi B. It's a room full of white guys.
Thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate it.
Dancing, Israelis, then this, Amdocs.
That's funny. That's really funny. He lost his composure entirely by the end of that. That's really funny. I'm curious now. I'm gonna look it up. Turning Point USA Israel. What is? It doesn't say. There's not like a page on Turning Point USA that says they love Israel. They should have that front and center. Why wouldn't they? Let's see. According to the JNS, the Jewish News Syndicate, conservative activist Charlie Kirk speaks of eye-opening stint in Israel. Western media has become so good about lying about this country, says Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, whose fact-finding mission showed him realities on the ground that will assist him in his pro-Israel advocacy on college campuses. Well, he could have just said that. For some reason, he chose not to say this in front of in front of those nice young men who were asking him questions. Don't know why. He should be more vocal about how much he loves Israel. I am vocal about it. Oh well. I don't know who suggested watching through these videos, but thank you, because I needed that. That was very funny. And I have a song. Prepared, and this one goes out to my homie Frederick for his his advocacy, I guess. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I will be doing a person stream tomorrow. I promise you. All right, take it easy. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is.
just another broken man, tangled in the words that I cannot say. Living just to say goodbye, save me from my selfish pride. Can you see the words written on my face? You got me acting like the old me, but you don't even know me. Can I get a witness? 'Cause I can hold the grudge like nobody's business. Seeing double vision. Show me what you got and I'll show you what you're missing. I'm going crazy, standing in a crowded street, peaceful in the eye of a hurricane. Cigarettes and sadness, little bit of madness, mixing with the chemicals in my brain. You got me acting like the old me, but you don't even know me. Can I get a witness? 'Cause I can hold the grudge like nobody's business. Seeing double vision. Show me what you got and I'll show you what you're missing.